Sorry for the delay, just getting prepared, and I think we're ready to go. And so I will call to order this meeting of the Westland City Council. It is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. And the first item of business is to do the Pledge of Allegiance as it's stated on the agenda. So we will rise and face the flag and recite the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. And I will just note for the record that Councilor Breik is joining us virtually for the meeting. Thank you, Councilor, for attending tonight from afar on the East Coast. And then first item of business is to approve the agenda. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the agenda for the January 13th, 2026 Westland City Council meeting.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the agenda for the Tuesday, January 13th Westland City Council meeting. Any discussion? I see no discussion, so go ahead and call the roll for the first time of a few times tonight, I think.
Councilor Bonington,
Yes.
Councilor Breik,
Yes.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Councilor Groner,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. Thank you. So the motion passes, and now we move to public comments. Don't any members of the public in the room signed up? And I know we have a couple signed up online.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Could we move them into the, make them a panelist, or so we can see them if they would like to? Carrie Cummings. We just made you a panelist, so you should be able to turn your camera on and unmute your microphone yourself. And I don't know if Terry's with you there, but we have your name signed up to comment.
Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can. Looks like we.
Oh,
There you go.
there we go.
Now we can see you. Hi there.
We have one computer because one of the cameras is not working on our other computer, so we're both here.
I see you both. Hi, welcome. And who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My name is Kerry Cummings, and I'm a resident of West Lynn. And a year ago, well, actually not a year ago, but last year, we had the opportunity to refinance our home. And everything was going along just fine until we got a call from the finance people saying that there was a judgment against Terry or us or our home. At that point, Terry was actually a sitting councilor and she was being represented by the city. This judgment, I can't remember how much it is. I think it was around $500. This was a while ago, and we did not hear anything about this judgment whatsoever. And it's at this point I'm very frustrated because we've been trying to, get our house refinanced, and it's a no-go because of this judgment against us. And I am very frustrated because the city should have taken care of this, or we should have been notified at the time. This was like 4 years ago. So I would like the city to, take care of this issue. I guess I don't really have much else to say right now, except this is where we're at.
That concludes your comment.
Yeah, I would like to, if possible, take my remaining minutes and add them on to Terry's if that's possible.
No, I don't think so.
You probably have about a minute left, so Ms. Cummings,
Okay.
you can go. You can go ahead and start your comment, and then we'll restart the timer and you have an extra minute if you need it.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Terry Cummings, resident of West Lynn. Carrie and I have lived here since 1992. And as you probably know, I was on the City Council back in 2022 when Bill Ostowski's case appeal of Judge Breithop's ruling prevailed in 2022. At that point, I wasn't on the council anymore, but the case named me as a city councilor, even though the gist of the case was the apparent purpose and intent of the case was to change the traditional interpretation of what constitutes a public body. There was a disagreement about whether an individual city councilor was a public body. And Rory's case somehow established that, even though it's kind of hard to wrap your head around the idea of an individual city councilor being an actual public body. That the purpose of that was to establish that personal notes taken for the by the city council for the convenience of being able to remember things was going to have to be public record. So anyway, last fall, when we got notice of this, I contacted the city, and it's been frustrating because we had an opportunity to get a lower interest rate, and no action has been taken. And meanwhile, I just think it's unfortunate that a person acting in the capacity of the city who had no control over how the case was named or so forth would wind up with a lien on their property, their personal property. This wasn't a personal case. This wasn't a case against anything with me personally. In fact, Rory's supposed interest in my notes has never materialized. He was offered to have my notes if they were redacted 12 times. And even now in 2026, I have yet to have an opportunity to hand over my notes. I don't know what the city does with personal notes. I don't know how much longer I'm supposed to keep them. And meanwhile, I would also like to take an opportunity now to formally request that you release the executive session so that I can finally have the truth be known that I recused myself and the council majority voted to pursue this lawsuit in the interests of the city. It wasn't to protect me. It was in the interest of the city. And the reasons why are well laid out in the case. And it's interesting to me to see that West Lynn, the city that made this major radical change in the state's traditional interpretation of what is a public body and personal notes and so forth, the city, from what I can tell, has done nothing to help people that serve in this capacity to know what should be done with their personal notes. How should you take them? How can you protect them from disclosure? How long should they be retained? Where should they be retained? Because from what I can see in the law, public notes are supposed to be in the custody of the public body, not the counselor, but the actual government. And that hasn't happened yet. You have no advice or rules about that I can see. And if you do, I'd love to see them. Meanwhile, like I said,
Ms. Could you wrap up your
yes,
comment?
just
Time's
to,
expired.
just to reiterate, we'd like, it's Rory's job to make an effort to have the city pay these fees, unless you think we should. By all means, please tell me why, if that's the case. But otherwise, the court told us that the prevailing party has a duty to make every effort to recover the fees. That would be your job, Rory, to see that the fees are recovered from the city. And the city council, it's your job to see that the fees are paid. And then I'm also formally requesting that you make the record of those executive sessions open to the public now, because this was a major precedent-setting case and the case has been settled. And you can do that, just like we did with the Fesser case. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And we learned about the judgment from the first time when you reached out to us, and I'm sorry that a lien was put on your house, and we're working on it with the city attorney, and I'm going to waive the fees entirely, and it was not my intent to have a lien placed on your house at all. So I'm going to get in touch with you tomorrow, and we'll get the process rolling to get that cleaned up and we get that erased off your house. So
To be clear, Rory, it's not your prerogative to waive the fees. So you might want to get some advice about that. It was not
Okay,
the
thank you.
council's prerogative to waive your fees back when you owed them. That's what we were told. There was a whole article in the tidings about that. So it's not
Okay,
your
well,
prerogative. Unfortunately, I appreciate your grace in that, but it's not your prerogative.
whether I can waive the fees or not, I'll figure that out and we'll get that taken off of your home. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you. We're working on it. Be in touch tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Uh, Any other comments from the public?
There are no
Okay.
other public comments.
Okay. With that, then we can move on to the mayor and council reports. The first item is election of the council president, which is required by the city charter every year to happen at the first meeting. So we usually take nominations for that, and I see that Councilor Reich, is your camera's not on, but I see a hand. Were you trying to raise your hand for this topic?
I was raising my hand and it looks like the video stopped. Let me try to start it again and see if I come back. Can you hear me? Yep, it looks like I'm back.
No, it's back. Now you're
Okay.
back. So you were recognized on this topic of council president.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Mary Baumgartner to be council president for this coming year.
And I would like to second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to nominate Mary Baumgartner as the city council president. Thank you for the nomination and second. Any discussion?
I accept the nomination.
Oh, Mary has stated she accepts the nomination. And just grateful for Mary's service. She's an invaluable member of the city council, and her work on regional committees and work just supporting what we all do behind the scenes has been very valued. So I'm glad to call you part of the team for the last,
Thank you,
let's
Mayor.
see, how long has it been? How long since we ran against each other as competitors in 2020 and became friends again? Since 2021, so 5 years. Wow. It's been a long time. So thank you, Council President.
Certainly.
Of course, during the campaign, we were very friendly as well. Any other comments on the nomination and Council President? Seeing no comments, so we can call the roll. The nomination's been made and seconded.
Counselor Bright,
Yes.
Counselor Groner,
Yes.
Counselor Bonington,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. And did you vote?
I didn't.
You voted? Okay, everybody's voted.
I didn't vote.
Oh,
I don't vote, I guess.
I think you can vote to yourself.
Oh,
The Council President Baumgartner.
yes.
So Council President Baumgartner votes yes, and the motion passes. And you remember when we were a council of 3 for a while, that was an issue of if you could vote for yourself. So I'm glad you got to get your vote in there. The council president has been elected. It would be City Council President Mary Baumgartner for the 2026 calendar year. And that will then take us to Community Advisory Group appointments. And I will place before the council Clinton Springer to the Library Advisory Board and Samantha Thorson and Amy Shower to the Sustainability Advisory Board. And would somebody make a motion to approve those appointments? Could you turn your red?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the mayor's appointments of Clinton Springer to the Library Advisory Board and Samantha Thorson and Amy Shower to the Sustainability Advisory Board. During the discussion portion, I'll just state we have some vacancies out there that we should advertise in the council newsletter that goes out and on our social media. So, our communications team's in the back. We have some vacancies on our community advisory board. So, and I'm sure you've been promoting them already, but if we could, I can even put a message in this week saying, in the future, just saying, hey, we need community members serve on our advisory boards. We can work on that. But we have vacancies for the audit committee, the budget committee, committee for community involvement, economic development committee, transportation advisory board, and utility advisory board. And we don't have applications at this time. So it's a good opportunity for those out there who want to give back to the city of Westland and help us do the work that we do. So we'll get that out soon. So with that, we can call the roll on the appointments.
Council
Oh.
President,
Councilor Bright, did you have a comment? Your hand is still up. There it goes. It was a stray hand. Okay, go ahead.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Councilor Groner,
Yes.
Councilor Bonington,
Yes.
Councilor Brike,
Yes,
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. So the motion passes and those community advisory group members are appointed. And I know that we have a practice of sending out letters to folks who are appointed. And maybe with the folks who applied to the library board, we had 5 applicants to the library board in one spot. Perhaps in the letter that we send out, we could just note that we have some vacancies and to look online for the vacancies. And if anybody wants to be reconsidered, they just have to check a new box
Yeah.
on the,
I'll add
for
that
that.
to the letters.
Because we certainly want everybody to be able to get involved that wants to be. And there's a tremendous opportunity right now, it looks like. So thank you for that. And thanks to everybody for applying. And congrats to new members. And we'll get those other spots filled. Continuing on with the annual tradition at the first meeting that we do every time, we elect the council president, talk about liaison roles, and appoint the community group. So now we will talk about the liaison assignments. I had a brief discussion in the pre-meeting about this. Most counselors will want to keep their own advisory board appointments. And then there was a couple of changes. Councilor Groner will take on the Transportation Advisory Board from Council President Baumgartner. And then Council President Baumgartner, you were going to take on the Library Advisory Board.
Yes.
And then I got to get this straight in my Councilor Groner, TAB too. And then Councilor Brike, do you have any final thoughts on the Arts and Culture Commission based on your schedule and limitations?
Yeah.
Or
I should be able to take that on. That would be fine, arts and culture.
okay, and then it will conflict sometimes with city council meetings, but I'm sure you'll do a good job of connecting with the chair and working with the group. So
Yes,
so, and then ACC to Carol. Okay, so we have this. So everybody's going to keep their appointments with the exception of the Library Advisory Board will go to Council President Baumgartner, Transportation Advisory Board to Councilor Groner, and the Arts and Culture Commission to Councilor Bright. How does everybody feel about that proposal? Okay, so I will place before the council liaison assignments with the following changes. the Library Advisory Board to Council President Baumgartner, the Transportation Advisory Board to Councilor Groner, and the Arts and Culture Commission to Councilor Reich.
I move to approve the mayor's council liaison appointments.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve reincorporating everybody's prior appointments with the changes of the Library Advisory Board to Council President Baumgartner, Transportation Advisory Board to Councilor Groner, and Adult Arts and Culture Commission to Councilor Reich. Any discussion just for the sake of complying with the procedure? I see none. You can call the roll again, please.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Councilor Groner,
Yes.
Councilor Bonington,
Yes.
Councilor Reich,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much for that. And so with that, we can go to reports from community advisory groups. Would anybody like to make a report? It's been a while since we met. I'll just start quickly by saying I had a great meeting with the Youth Advisory Council in December. They were discussing their continued conversations about the transportation projects and pedestrian safety projects that they talked to us about. And I let them know there might be a chance in the near future to weigh in on which ones could be funded in a potential city bond measure if they're. So they were very excited about getting involved in that process. And we got a great group of young people from the YAC. So with that, Councilor Groner.
Yes, thank you. So on January 7th, there was an Arts and Culture Advisory Board meeting. Basically, the holiday market went well at the Adult Community Center. The parade apparently was somewhat disappointing. The city of West Lynn will be participating in something called the Willamette Arts, what is it? What is that? Can't read my own writing. But basically, it is a combined group of Lake Oswego, Oregon City, and West Lynn that will be doing arts along basically Route 43, coordinating their arts projects. And there is a need for a mural policy. Was some desire to do murals, but apparently we don't have a legal framework for either on city property or private property who can do murals. So thank you. I did jury duty, which was really fun. It was a criminal trial, and there were 4 charges. The gentleman was convicted on 2 of those charges and exonerated on 2. Very interesting watching a criminal trial.
Thank you for your service on many levels then, serving on a jury as well. Very, very cool. Thank you, Councilor Groner. Councilor Bonington, do you have anything to report? Then I'll go to Councilor Reich.
A whole month. It's been a while. Let's see. Last Monday, we had a meeting of the Economic Development Committee, and they had basically completed their SWOT analysis and kind of launched into a discussion that's near and dear to my heart, which is all sorts of unique and unexplored revenue sources for the city. So that was an interesting discussion to hear from the more business-minded people in town, and we'll see where that goes. Then Thursday was a Parks Board meeting, and most of that discussion was taken up regarding the fee that we'll discuss later.
Thank you, Councilor Bonington. Councilor Reich, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, we have openings on the Utility Advisory Board. We had to cancel the last scheduled meeting because we couldn't confirm a quorum. So we really need to get some people invested in the Utility Advisory Board so we can have meetings.
So they've gone below are you saying they've gone below the quorum threshold?
If everybody could have been there, we would have had a quorum. We've got 4 people out of 7, but we had somebody that couldn't attend.
We'll prioritize that in the next by the next couple of meetings. We'll try to get in a couple appointments. That's
And it's
good to know.
it's a
Thank
fun
you.
group. It's a fun group.
You got a lot of good people on that group. I know that. Thank you for bringing that up. Council President Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Breik and I attended the Clackamas County Business Alliance 2026 Legislative Summit and learned a little bit more about what is upcoming for this coming legislative session, and got to visit with our legislators and meet other electeds from the area. That was very interesting. And I continue to have various regional meetings. Had the management and operations meeting for the Willamette Falls and Landings Heritage Area Coalition today, and our legislative committee meeting as well. So, and Thursday, I will be going to the Metro Visioning 50-year Visioning Summit. They're having these meetings and inviting electeds and other people to come and share the vision for Metro area. It's very interesting. So I'll report back.
Thank you for that, Council President. Anything else to report from the City Council? All right, I see none. So we can move on then. Councilor Groner requested the opportunity to have a proclamation related to healthcare, and City Attorney had an edit to that. And then, so we have the edited version, and he's going to read the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor Bielostowski. Whereas the city of West Lynn recognizes that health is a fundamental human right and a prerequisite for a thriving, productive, and stable community, and the well-being of our residents is the highest civic priority. And whereas access to comprehensive, affordable, and quality health care is essential to sustaining the quality of life, economic vitality, and overall public health of all families, workers, and businesses within the city of West Lynn. And whereas the current complexities and rising costs of healthcare systems place undue financial strain on West Lynn families, small businesses, and individuals, often resulting in medical debt, delayed necessary care, and diminished economic security for our residents. And whereas Healthcare for All Oregon is a statewide coalition advocating for universal, publicly funded, equitable, and sustainable healthcare system designed to cover every Oregon resident. And whereas the objectives of the HCAO align with the city's commitments to social equity, fiscal responsibility, and local empowerment by reducing individual financial burdens and supporting the creation of a healthier, more resilient workforce. And whereas the city of West Lynn desires to recognize the significant efforts of organizations like Healthcare for All Oregon in striving to achieve healthcare reform that benefits all citizens of the state of Oregon, including those residing within our municipal boundaries. Now, therefore, the city encourages its residents and elected officials to engage in informed discussions regarding policies that strengthen access to comprehensive health care coverage throughout our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, for that proclamation. And then Council President Baumgartner will read the Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation, excuse me.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Martin Luther King Jr. was a visionary leader whose commitment to equality, justice, and peace left an indelible mark on the history of our nation, and whereas Dr. King's steadfast dedication to the civil rights movement, his tireless efforts in challenging systemic racism and segregation, and his powerful speeches continue to inspire generations to carry forward his message of unity. And whereas the city of West Lynn recognizes the importance of commemorating and celebrating the life and contributions of Martin Luther King Jr. and the significance of his legacy in promoting equality and social justice. And whereas Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a national observance and an opportunity for communities across our country to reflect on the ongoing work that remains in the pursuit of racial equality. And whereas the City of West Lynn is committed to fostering an inclusive community that embraces diversity and to promoting understanding, respect, and equality among all residents. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the City Council of the City of West Lynn that January 19th, 2026 is Martin Luther King Day, and we encourage all community members to join together in honoring the life and accomplishments of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and to participate in activities that promote unity, equality, and social justice. Dated this 13th day of January 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you both for the proclamations. Moving on the agenda then to item 6, which is the Audit Committee presentation. I see Tanya Moffett here from Marina and Company, and Mr. Williams, would you like to kick this off?
You bet.
Very, very important part of what we do as a city is
Well,
the
it
audit.
really is, and that's really the main thing I was going to say. This is a hugely important part of our financial accountability practices, and we appreciate the work that the entire finance department does, and Tanya and the entire firm. So great news again on the audit. I won't spoil the surprise that Lauren and Tanya are about to deliver you, but I'm very proud of the work that everyone does on this. And Lauren, if you could please introduce the topic.
Thank you. We're really excited to have a great audit again this year, and I don't have much to say. I'm going to turn it over to Tanya Moffett, the partner of Marina and Co.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I'm happy to be here to present the June 30, 2025 audited financial statements. It's an annual comprehensive financial report, which is like the gold star for financial statement reporting. We had a clean or an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of financial statement report that we can give. The city did receive the GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association's Award for Excellence for the June 30, 2024 audited financial statements, and we believe that they will also receive it for the June 30, 2025. We also completed the Oregon Minimum Standards Report, which is a compliance-based report that the Oregon legislature has some specific things that they want municipal auditors to look at, and we had no findings there as well. So overall, great audit, and I'm sad to say this is our last financial statement audit for the city. We have appreciated working with you as well as city staff over the last several years. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. It's
Yes.
it's very reassuring to have this information and to know that you all are watching very carefully and that we are in the right.
I think you're going to be missed by all of our staff. I know that they've really enjoyed working with you and your team. And, sometimes the audit can be a painful process, but I think you all have always made it very collaborative and enjoyable for the whole finance department team and everybody else. And I know I've even seen you in the building before. So thanks for being a part of our team, and we will miss you. And we have a new auditor coming on board, correct? As
Yes.
required by law.
Yes, as you remember, we had approved an audit contract for Aldrich CPAs. So Marina was at the end of their contract term, and they're moving away from doing audits of government. So we are, like you said, Mayor, we are very sad to see Tanya go, but I think that I hope that we'll have a great relationship with Aldrich same way. So.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Look forward to reviewing the financial reports. So always good to have a clean finding, as we always expect. So anything else from City Council? Councilor Breik, I know you're on the audit committee, but you recently got to share your thoughts probably about an hour ago during that meeting. So
Yes, that's correct. So good news about the audit, but absolutely what we expect. And we will miss having Marina and Company in-house to do the audits, but we look forward to working with the new auditors next year.
thank you. Well, with that, I guess we can move on then. So thank you both. And Tanya, please pass along our regards to the whole team. I know it probably wasn't just you doing the audit, so. Well. With that, we'll continue on the agenda, moving right along at a good pace to the consent agenda, which I'll entertain a motion to, first of all, any objection to the meeting minutes? I always ask that because if you have an objection, we have to pull them off. So any changes or objections? Nope. Okay. Well, then you can make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda for the January 13th, 2026 Westland City Council meeting, which includes the December 9th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve the consent agenda for the January 13th, 2026 Westland City Council meeting, which includes the December 9th, 2025 meeting minutes. Please call the roll. No discussion.
Counselor Gruner,
Yes.
Counselor Bonington,
Yes.
Counselor Reich,
Yes.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. So the consent agenda is approved, and as always, Teresa, Kathy, thank you for your work on the meeting minutes. We can then move into the business meeting. Agenda item 8A, which is an ordinance 1769 relating to the process for the vacation of a right-of-way, easement, and real property. So I'll turn it over to, I think, City Attorney Klein. Would you like to introduce Kristen?
Yes, I would like to introduce Kristen. She's been our wonderful honors attorney that's been working with me in the legal department, and she worked on this issue with staff. So I'd like to give her a chance to give you the background and explain it to you.
So
Yeah,
Kristen,
could you make sure the mic, oh, you got.
and then keep the mic pretty close to your mouth while you're talking. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's official. You have a name tag at City Council.
It's a little skills. No,
No,
that's close.
I'm getting there. Okay, thank you. I've never had a name tag before, so.
Hey, welcome.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much. I'm going to talk through the memo you have in your packet. Please feel free to interrupt, ask any questions as I go through or at the end. Currently, neither the Westland Municipal Code nor the Community Development Code specify the procedural process for vacating a public right-of-way, easement, or other public property. The absence of a clearly expressed process can cause confusion as to whether vacations are land use decisions or policy decisions. This distinction is important because if they're considered land use decisions, they are appealable to LUBA. If they are considered policy decisions, they are appealable to Circuit Court. Westland Ordinance 1763 that we adopted in October of 2025 repealed language in the CDC that indicated that street vacations were land use decisions, but it didn't add any clarifying language either in the CDC or in the Westland Municipal Code. So given this silence and the intent behind Ordinance 1763, it's currently arguable that vacations are policy decisions appealable to Circuit Court and not land use decisions appealable to LUBA. But the legal and planning departments have discussed, and we feel that it is best practice and follows the practice of neighboring cities to clarify in the Westland Municipal Code that vacations are policy decisions appealable to Circuit Court. This proposed ordinance specifies that vacations in Westland follow the process established by state law and are policy decisions appealable to Circuit Court. I can go into more detail on these requirements as there are questions, but to quickly summarize the state law, it's ORS Chapter 271. This is attachment 3 in your packet. It's there in full. It establishes the process for both petitioner and city-initiated vacations. It has notice, hearing, and other procedural requirements, and it directs the governing body to approve or deny vacations based on the public interest. It also explicitly provides that vacations are appealable to Circuit Court where the city is situated. And yeah, the whole chapter is in attachment 3. And if there are any specific questions on that process or requirements, please let me know. But in sum, this ordinance clarifies that vacations are policy decisions appealable to circuit court and not land use decisions appealable to LUBA. And it follows the process in state law in ORS Chapter 271. Both Tigard and Lake Oswego have very similar language and point to that ORS provision as well.
That's awesome. Thank you for the presentation. Any questions from the city council? Let me look. Councilor Reich? Any, it doesn't look, go ahead.
I just want to say I greatly appreciate the clarity that makes it so much easier to move forward and to make decisions as these things come up. So thank you so much.
The only question I have is what and maybe it's not known, but why would you want to make something go to circuit court instead of LUBA? So I'm just interested in that.
Yeah, LUBA is a venue where practitioners are really, land use lawyers are really comfortable appealing to. It's kind of a lower barrier to appeal to, so it's more frequently appealed. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's good to clarify one way or the other, and our sister cities clarified a circuit court, so we're following suit as state law allows. Also just noting that there's, as you all know, there's a hearing requirement where public can comment. There's also for petition-initiated vacations, neighboring affected landowners can object. There's a lot of notice requirements both on the property and in a newspaper. So we're comfortable that the process and the appeal to circuit court gives the public ample opportunity to voice their concerns.
Thank you. Thanks for the explanation. Being a legal nerd, I was just interested in that issue. Anything else? Are we ready to vote on the ordinance? Okay, well, and I want to thank the legal department as well and our planning department for all the work that went into this. I'm sure it was a long process to do the research and get this ordinance before us. So we always appreciate all that you both do. Okay, you can make the motion for the first reading, and I'm assuming it will be approved unanimously. So we'll then move to the second reading.
I move to approve first reading for ordinance 1769 relating to the process for vacation of a right-of-way, easement, and real property, and set the matter for second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the first reading for ordinance 1769 relating to the process for a vacation of a right-of-way, easement, and real property, and set the matter for second reading. Any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the roll, please.
Councilor Bright,
Yes.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Councilor Groner,
Yes.
Councilor Bonington,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. So the motion passes unanimously, and we can move to the second reading.
I move to approve second reading for ordinance 1769 relating to the process for vacation of a right-of-way, easement, and real property, and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the second reading for ordinance 1769 relating to the process for vacation of right-of-way, easement, and real property, and adopt the ordinance. Any discussion on the second reading? I see none, so we can call the roll again.
Yes.
Baumgartner, should probably say that.
Yes.
Councilor Groner,
Yes.
Councilor Bonington,
Yes.
Councilor Bright,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. So the motion passes. The ordinance is adopted, and notice is given that people must go to circuit court if they want to appeal a right-of-way vacation from the city council. So thank you for clarifying our code.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So with that, we can move on then. Moving right along to the agenda item 8B, which is a resolution 2026-01, revising fees and charges as shown in the attachment and updating the master fees and charges document of the city of Westland related to the parks maintenance fee. I know that city manager has a staff report to give on this item with some members of his team.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, one meeting, one ordinance. I like it. We'll have we'll have about 60 ordinances at the end of the year at this rate. So we'll see what we can do. This topic is being brought back at your request following discussions you had in December, centered around the Operations Center project. In December, you held a work session and a business meeting to talk about and make a decision about funding for the Operations Center. And that decision was approval of a full faith and credit obligation to provide the $45 million in funding anticipated needed for the Operations Center. That's the new facility on Solomon Road. And the full faith and credit obligation is to be repaid from city's funds and largely through existing utility rates. The stormwater fund, the sewer fund, the streets fund, the water fund, each have a share of this. But about 17–18% of this project is associated with the Parks Department, which is funded through the general fund and largely funded through a parks utility fee. And in December, you requested that we bring back some options for increasing that parks maintenance fee in order to cover the general fund component of the project. So again, the item that we're talking about is about 17 or 18% of the total project cost. And as you know, and as we've discussed many times, the general fund has some long-term stability issues that the council has been working through, figuring out how are we going to ensure that we can continue to provide the services that this community wants over the long term. And increasing the parks maintenance fee to accommodate the Parks Department's share of the Operations Center would be a major step in that direction. And so the action you have tonight, a resolution you have tonight in front of you, which gives you the option to increase that parks maintenance fee. But it's a much more complicated picture than just that. We've been working through the fall a much broader discussion of the city's financial needs and a long-term financial strategy, and engaging our community in communications about that financial situation. And so tonight is a couple of pieces. Our finance director, Lauren Breithaupt, is back and can have a little reminder of the decision you made on the full faith credit obligation, what that means and how it's paid for. And then we also have Danielle Choi and Doug Erickson, who are our trustee communications team, who have been thinking about how we would discuss with our community, not just this one possible action, but also this broader need for communication on all of the topics that you've been thinking about. And then, of course, we have Megan Big John in the back, our Parks and Recreation Director. So we have the power team here tonight to have a discussion with you about how you'd like to move forward. You do have a resolution in front of you that proposes two different actions, actually, two different increases to the parks maintenance fee to accommodate two different pieces of the puzzle, as Lauren will discuss. But as basically the two pieces are, one, paying for the Operations Center costs that project we are working on, and two, catching up the parks maintenance fee with the full cost of providing parks maintenance services in the city of West Lynn. And so the resolution in front of you would do both of those things staged over time. We recognize that may not be the action you take tonight, but we are here to provide the information, have a discussion with you about what you would like to do moving forward on each of these pieces. So we're all here tonight. I'm going to introduce Lauren first and then ask Doug and Danielle to come up and talk a little bit about communications.
Great, thank you. So as the city manager mentioned, we have two components of this proposed fee increase. The first one being effective January 1st. As you know, we generally increase half of our utility fees or utility bill fees on January 1st and half of them on July 1st. And those go into effect for the February and August bills. So it's about a month behind on the billing. And so the first increase on here is a $5 increase which would align the park's maintenance fee revenues with the expenses. Currently, we did some calculations and realized that we are only covering about 83% of the park's maintenance expenses with the revenues that we're bringing in for the park maintenance fee. That difference there is about a $5 increase per month. So that first one, again, in here is listed as January 1st, which would be effective for the bills that are going out next month. We just had bills that went out today for the January bills, so February bills would go out middle of February, if that was the increase there. The second part of that is on July 1st, of course, dates can be changed, but that's an additional $5.20 increase. And as the city manager mentioned, we are planning on issuing the full faith and credit that the council approved back in December. And we are planning on issuing that tentatively in March of this year. Our first payment would likely be in December. So December 1st is when our first payment would be due. Generally, we have our one interest payment due in December, and then our interest and principal payment due in June. So I calculated the park's portion of the interest payment that would be due in December of about $340,000. The total debt service for the year is about $3.2 million on that bond. As the city manager mentioned, about 17.5% of that is going to be paid back from the Parks Department's revenues. And so that equals, about, I want to say 561,000, I believe, a year. So what we are proposing here is to cover that by an additional $5.20 increase, which would cover that 561 a year for the parks portion of the full faith and credit. The other portions of the full faith and credit at this point are going to be paid from existing rates. As you know, we're looking at this holistically, and so there may be other discussions later on about different fees in those departments too. Happy to answer any questions about any of that.
Any questions from the city council at this time, or should we get through the remainder of the?
Yeah, we can bring up, we can ask Doug and or Danielle. Not sure who's coming up first. Excellent. Both going up.
Thank you for the presentation, Lauren, on the financials.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. I feel like my name tag needs to say more than library director. People might get confused. But we thank you for the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about a communications plan. Danielle and I have been working on this since just before the holidays, I think. And we've come up with some ideas on how this can be presented in the context by which people might be asking the questions about why now, why this amount, and how that feels relevant to what's going on in our economy and what's going on in our world at this time. Because I think it's important that as counselors, you have, and elected officials, you have the right information at the right time to share with people so we can be as transparent as possible. So maybe Danielle, you want to take a couple of minutes?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We just wanted to come here tonight to let you know that we're prepared to support council throughout a long haul process. As the city manager mentioned, not just a single campaign or a single financial decision, but many of them. I wanted to speak a little bit to the what of a communication strategy as well as of how of a potential communication strategy. For complex issues like municipal budget, a two-tiered system is recommended, meaning a bird's eye view, offering infographics, bullet points, summaries, key facts, the goal being to keep things digestible and easy to share, whether that's on social media or by word of mouth. And then that should be complemented by a wealth of details to drill down into. That's where we have an opportunity with our OWL newsletter, long form content, detailed articles, press releases, supporting documents, everything that would be needed for someone wanting to do a really deep dive into each issue as it comes up. Though everyone in West Linn can expect to be impacted by financial decisions, not everyone has the capacity or desire to engage, especially as decisions are made over a long period of time. Providing both a bird's eye overview and detailed view gives people the opportunity to choose their own terms of engagement and participation level for each item. It's a small way of showing respect to our audience and making sure the process is inclusive and accessible. The next key strategy is to ensure all items are linked together so folks can have a holistic understanding of the relationship between each decision as it's made and a bigger financial picture. For the how of this strategy, we've been informally calling it Funding Our Future. We've been considering it one project with many moving pieces, meaning it could therefore potentially live at a central hub on our community engagement platform, yourwestlinn.com. And related projects could each have their own pages, but all be linked to the main campaign and share common branding so that it's visually evident that there's a connection between them. The key tenets that we really want to demonstrate with any strategy, that we're adopting would be transparency and reliability. Accuracy of information is, of course, the most important thing, but getting information out in a timely manner as situations evolve is also important, as is putting out as complete a picture as possible without minimizing difficult news or trying to predict the future. The long and short of it is that we are fortunate to live in a small enough community that we can talk to each other, human to human, like families do when budgeting at the kitchen table. And we are ready to support council in each of these upcoming conversations. Thank you.
So I think that gives you kind of what we're thinking out from a broader framework. If we dial it in a little, so how do we get here, right? Why is there a need to request for money? So we started to do some research to see if there were some things that could link what our need is with what's happened in society. So let's just use, for an example, 2008 as the number by which we come up with the parks maintenance fee to help pay for parks. So in using that analogy, what's happened in the economy since 2008 all the way to the present time? So when you're asking for a increase, and the second big increase after 5%, you did one in 2021, or council did at that time, and now this one was potentially sitting out there. What's happened in the same framework? Well, there's some comparisons that we can look at. One of them is our CPI, so our Consumer Price Index. What's happened in the Consumer Price Index between 2008 and 2025? Well, it's gone up 54.1%. So when you're looking at that and you're looking at the relativity of what you're asking for from an increase, which is in the 40%, if you're taking those two numbers combined, 5 and 520, you're seeing that, okay, well, our costs to do things, to purchase materials, whether those be for the parks and recreation or any space in our own homes, has gone up that much. So the next great indicator is your ECI, your Employee Cost Index. And what that has gone up in that same time. So what does it cost to hire an employee? And these are national numbers. So they could be higher here or lower here, but it's a good place to start, is over 57% for that same period of time. And I think what's really important to understand is your construction. So there's various ways that they measure non-residential construction builds. So there are some indexes that are based upon various organizations, both our state government and other independent third parties that do that. And since 2005, the cost of building something that would be considered commercial or non-residential has gone up 90%. So those are three factors that we can use in explaining the need for more resources just to keep up with the current thing. I also think that Director Big John can go into a lot of details about what they're actually doing in park maintenance, which I think is really impressive considering what they have. The number that I have to share is if you look at the average of acreage that you have, which is about 600 acres of open space and parks, what is the National Parks and Recreation Board or Association, the governing or ones that create best practices in that field? I may have the acronym wrong or the name wrong, but I'm sure it can be corrected by by Director Big John, you're looking at what they would look to is about, we're about 2 to 3 times with the 9 FTE that we have right now in parks maintenance compared to what they recommend in average. So 2 to 3 times more property for your 9 folks that are working in parks maintenance against what the average is. So the average is around 20. You're looking at 40, 50, sometimes up to 60 acres per person. So you're doing a lot with a little. And I think that's a really other great way of showing to our community what we're doing every single day. And that's just talking about acreage. That's not even talking about the splash pads, the bathrooms, the play structures, all the infrastructure that go into our parks, whether they be walking trails or jungle gyms or places where children are playing or swinging. So, and all the things that people really like about our community, which is one of those main things is our parks. So I think these are some good data points that you can point to that we're happy to frame for you in infographics and in other ways to be able to tell that story. And I think that story, those numbers can continue all the way through as you begin to understand and we begin to understand what our financial needs are going forward, not into just this bienniums going forward. That there's a real national trend and we're trying to just keep up with what the inflated costs are. And we're not trying to, expressly burden our community with more financial obligations, but there are real reasons for it. And the real reasons we can show why these things are important and what our community values and what they might be considering to pay for.
Well, I really appreciated all those thoughts that both of you shared on the communications, and so glad you're both on the team. Does anything else to add, Mr. City Manager, or would you like the council at this time to begin our?
No, I think even though it's a business meeting, I think our intention tonight is discussion. So we'd like to know what you think about the process moving forward, where you want to go with this, and how we can help you get there. As we'll continue the work this winter, probably including a big chunk at a retreat, which I'll talk about later, your annual retreat, on that financial strategic plan that we've been talking about. And that'll really lay out, distill a lot of the discussions you've had, lay out a plan of action for the community to see. This will include what are our values regarding finances, what are the challenges that we're seeing, what are some potential options, and what is the time frame and process for discussing those options with the community. And I hope that we'll be able to get there with your leadership in the next month or so, to have that overview of what all those pieces are to talk about with the community. So with that, I'll turn it over to you for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for all the information you provided. And I had individual conversations with counselors and quickly realized in preparing myself for the meeting that I think there was a divergence of how quickly folks were going to be ready to take a vote on this. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and has the opportunity really as a council to share their thoughts on how they feel about the particular proposal. And my plan is to put this on a future work session and then kind of have the usual sequence where we have a work session and then we have a business meeting the following week, and then we can take a vote on a particular part of the fee increase or both fees. And I have some thoughts, but I definitely want to open the floor up first for each counselor to share where they feel, because this really is a big decision. It's the first time in a long time that we've been faced with a fee increase like this. So who would like to start? And Councilor Bonington, will go to Councilor Groner, and then we can go down the table. Councilor Bonington, please.
Thank you. This is an extremely important issue to me. I think it's probably the most important thing we will work on this year and probably take up a lot of our year. And it may indeed be the most impactful thing we as a council take on entirely. I want to thank Doug and Danielle for their work on this and preparing for it in the last few weeks. I've noticed we've been somewhat reluctant to strategize about how we're going to proceed with this in the open, which is understandable. Strategizing in public view is kind of a weird thing, but we don't have any need, I think, to be reluctant about it. we need to be as transparent as possible with our reality of our financial situation. And I think laying out our strategy for how we're going to deal with all of it for everyone to see from day one, before they ever see a fee increase, before that ever becomes something that might upset someone or cause concern, is the best possible way to go about it, having that conversation. Because we don't have a choice about whether we're going to address this situation unless we want to see some very unpleasant effects amongst, I guess, what people see every day from the city. The budget shortfall that's coming is real, but it's not anyone's fault historically or presently. It's just a situation that needs dealing with, and it needs dealing with as a whole community. So I think obviously we need to fund the operations complex, but making sure that story is properly told to everyone well in advance so they're prepared for it. They may not like a lot of this, but they'll understand it. And I think ultimately understanding it leads to a lot more support, which is exactly what we need.
Do you have any, not to prompt you, but do you have any thoughts on, for the particular fee increases before us related to the parks maintenance fee? Any information needs that you have or requests for staff to prepare for the work session? I'm going to ask each counselor this question, just off the top of your head. And of course, if folks think of other things that they need, we can always, you can email those in to staff.
No, I feel like I'm pretty completely prepared and have the information I need regarding it. It is the public at large that I think could benefit from more information. So,
thank you for that. Councilor Grunner, please.
Yes, thank you. Well, basically, we need to demonstrate that we are proper stewards of the public's money and that we're not arbitrarily increasing people's fees. One time series I think that might be interesting is staffing within the Parks Department. I believe we have not had any great increase in staffing. If anything, we've had a reduction.
Yeah, I'd let the director, Big John, probably come up and answer those questions. I'll trade places with her.
Thank you. Welcome, Parks Director Megan Big John.
Hello, thank you. I might need a little bit of help on this, but I do believe in 2016, there was a shift in the budget to where there was a reduction in leadership in Parks and Recreation, and that money was shifted over to bring into staff, field staff members in the park side of the world.
Councillor, the parks maintenance fee was raised in, Lauren, which year was that?
2021, I believe.
2021, to facilitate the hiring of 2 more maintenance workers. But that's been the sum total of the change in the 9 years that I've been here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Councilor Breik, would you like to share any thoughts on kind of how you're feeling and any information you'd like to have presented at a future work session?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I really do believe that the increase in the parks maintenance to meet the maintenance cost is pretty important. For one thing, just to ease the burden on the general fund for other things, as well as to get us current with the cost. It might be helpful to see some charts that show what the maintenance fee on the utility bill is covering versus the actual maintenance cost within the department. To me, the urgency of this is to have things in really good alignment for issuing the full faith and credit obligations. And so I don't think we have a lot of time to wait and talk about this. I do understand the need to reach out to the community, but I think that we need to kind of speed this process up to the extent that we can.
Thank you for that, Councilor Bright. Appreciate that. Listen, we want to keep the costs as low as possible for our residents. And I know that people are feeling an economic pinch in these times that we're in. And we also, as city council, have a duty to look after the city's budget and make sure that our funds remain stable. So I think that I agree with you, Councilor. I think this is a really important topic for us to take up, and we will go at the speed that the council is able to. And it's just something that I take seriously. I think we all take it seriously, and I heard from councilors that they wanted to kind of take a dive into the financials of the Parks Maintenance Fund. And a couple of things that I've been thinking about for this work session is I'd like, you mentioned communication strategy. Maybe we could have a few draft communications just so we can see it before we take the vote. So that's kind of ready simultaneously. And then perhaps we can discuss some options for different phasing approaches, because right now we have a $5, the current proposal that we talked about last month was a $5 fee, and now I think, and then a $5 fee in July, but perhaps we could figure out a way to discuss options to phase that in a little bit more over time so people don't feel an immediate pinch. And then I wanted to look at the legislative history from the Parks Maintenance Fee discussion from 2007. I know that's where there was a discussion in there that the City Council had about making sure that the Parks fee covered the full cost of maintenance. So I wanted to take a look at that. And then with regard to the Operations Center, I think it's an expensive project. I know the budget, we have so many budget issues that the budget alone, I'm nervous about it. I think we all are nervous about it, absorbing the full cost. So I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the financials about what that $5 would do, kind of free up in the Parks Fund, and why that's needed before we take the vote. So that's where I'm at, and appreciate the council's diligence on this topic. And I'll stop talking now, let Council President speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, the time frame is one of the things that occurred to me, because first it sounded like we have a lot of time, but that didn't seem accurate to how I understand this to be. So while I'm very concerned with affordability, and I'm also aware of the rent burdened community status that we have, so I might like to see how people can access any kind of discount programs, or I'm sorry, the word is not coming to my mind, but
we have a low-income utility
you.
assistance program.
So I would like to have that figure into how we share out information about this. All of that said, it's very important to me, and I think it is absolutely our responsibility to make sure that we are covering the needs of the city as far as fees. And if we aren't caught up at this point for the parks fee, I think we need to get caught up. And nothing illustrated that to me more than serving on the South Fork Water Board and learning of the deferred maintenance of a very instrumental water main for all of us that we drink out of. The main that comes out of the Clackamas River is decades old, and then the costs all went up right when we all agreed we needed to replace that water line. And then everything tripled in cost. So we don't have a choice, of course. We have to make sure that water line stays sound. But I think we have a responsibility to keep these fees doing what they are meant to do, which is covering these costs. And that's why we're here. I mean, and yes, people will want answers. People will need information. And so I appreciate everyone acknowledging that. And I am happy to, I am ready to vote when we all feel comfortable doing it. And if that's not tonight, I think it should be sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Council President, for those thoughts, and I agree with you. Councilor Groner, please.
Yes, one thing that I would like to see, in the past, we've had comparisons of our fee structures with other towns in the neighborhood. I'd like to see that, what that looks like with the new fee structure as well, how we compare to neighboring towns. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Groner, and I appreciate everybody sharing what they need to get us closer towards this decision that we plan to make in the near future. Councilor Bonington, please.
Something did occur to me that I think I might benefit from and the rest of us might benefit from. When we first started discussing raising this fee, the first thought I had was, why is this not already covering the cost of maintenance? It's pretty well understood, I think, in this room that there's a lot of deferred maintenance, a lot of things that we'd like to be able to do with the parks we have. And some sort of mechanism that ensures that that is continuing to happen beyond this. And maybe an analysis of what it would cost in addition to this fee to actually start covering some of that deferred maintenance would be really interesting. Just to understand if we're talking about doing $10.20, but $11.20 makes an incredible impact to what we have already and actually offers some things that people can see, I think that's something to look at, something to discuss. But I don't necessarily have that information.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Bonington. Any other discussions? Or any other questions or information needs from City Council? We have the whole team here. It doesn't happen very often. So, and of course, like I said earlier, you can email in if you think of anything else. I think we're in a good position, thinking about what a lot of other cities are going through this same conversation about their rates and being able to keep up with the cost increases that Doug pointed out. I mean, things have gotten very expensive, and we've just been adjusting our rates 5% annually over the years. And so it's a good time to talk about that because like cost of construction, I heard asphalt went up 300%. And so when you think about maintaining roads, maintaining all the things that we have to do with that, that's just one small anecdote, one small example. And Wilsonville's having to raise their fees. We're talking about raising their fees, I think 120%. And so because of the saving and because of the smart financial management we've deployed over the years, we're not in that position. So we're able to make sure it's more moderate impact to the community for sure. So appreciate that. Anything else from Council? Council President, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was wanting to know what would be the recommended time frame for this, I guess. Does anyone want to?
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council, for that list. I kept a running list. I don't know what everyone thinks, but I think we have most of the information that you just listed in hand. There's a couple of pieces that we don't have as good information as we would like. I would say one of those is the cost and scale of deferred maintenance is still a work in progress in the existing parks. But most of the things that you requested, including how things have changed over time, what the fee has been over time, how our staffing has been over time, our cities charge, all of that, I think we have. I feel like we could come back pretty fast on this. Be tough to put a packet together for next week, but we actually do have time on the agenda next week, and if it could be a conversation, we could probably do some of this next week, depending on how fast you want to move things forward. There's a little bit of I think some different opinions I heard about time frame. For example, I heard Councilor Bonington talk about, which we've talked about offline too, sort of wanting the whole picture first and having all those pieces in place first before we do anything, and then with a little bit more urgency. So I think that needs to be resolved. But I believe we could put together a conversation pretty fast for you. If not next week, then the first work session of February, I would think.
I think my my plan would be to either have a work session next week or maybe the first week of February to make sure that everybody has time to get all the information together. I don't want to have people scrambling to put together things, and then we could have this on the agenda for the have a couple.
These folks know they can speak up if I'm wrong. There's no
I
no
think we would be
intimidation
fine
here from a
to-
dictator.
I think you're right. We do have
Yeah.
pretty much all the information pretty easily accessible, so we can do it as soon as we can do it.
Okay.
So how do you feel about talking next week about it then?
I think we could talk next week about it.
Okay.
We may not have every piece and we may not have it all ready for the packet a week in advance, but I think we could do a pretty good job next week.
Okay, sounds good then. We'll do that and then we'll plan, my tentative plan is to have a vote on whatever there's a consensus on, whether it's $5 for the operations center or the $5 for ops center plus the $5 to offset the, basically to cover the full cost of parks maintenance in February at the February meeting. So that's kind of where I'm leaning as to at least have that is the target date for a vote, because I've heard from counselors and also staff that there's some timing there that is important. So with that, anything else to close us out? Yeah, all right. Well, we're not even done with the agenda, so we'll just move on. And I think we have another important topic to get to here. So we'll move on, and thanks to all of the team for being here to engage with us, and look forward to continuing to work with you all. The next item is agenda item 8C, the Pioneer Center Intergovernmental Agreement for Adult Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor. Looks like we'll be bringing Megan back, and welcome. Good to see you. This is a great opportunity. We wanted to highlight this amazing service that's provided and provide a little information about how it's provided and what the costs are, and our great partnership with Oregon City. So we're real proud to have a combined presentation here tonight on a topic that we don't talk about much here in the council chamber. So Megan, welcome, and take it away, please.
Hi there. Thank you for having me again. And I have Cicely Rose here from Pioneer Community Center in Oregon City, who we've had an IGA agreement with Oregon City since 2008 for these services that we're going to talk about today. She is a social services and community center manager for that center. And what we are here to do is to present to you the wonderful services that are provided to our community by her team, as well as you. And in a moment, she'll go over all of those services, but I wanted to make sure you kind of knew the overall heart of what is provided. This is a program provides essential services to our older community and residents with disabilities by supporting the health, independence, and overall quality of life for those residents in need of these services. This partnership allows Westland to provide a high-quality service efficiently and avoids duplication of staffs between the two cities and resources in ensuring consistent care. So currently, for when I got here, we had an IGA that was approved every year. With the new director in Oregon City, we talked about being able to have that renewable over 5 years. And so that's the end of why we also realized that IGAs need to be approved by council, not just through the city manager's office. So that's why we're here to give you that presentation. The other benefit to this too is there would be an annual increase of the fee with the CPI annually, which keeps them where they need to be. And at any time, if we ever need to negotiate something different, we can. Do you want to go ahead and go over your program? It's really a great presentation. I'm excited for you to see it.
Thank you. As Director Big John said, my name is Cicely Rose, and I have the honor and the privilege of being the manager of the Pioneer Community Center. We are a division of the Parks and Recreation Department for the City of Oregon City, and we are honored to partner in this unique and wonderful way. Oh, sure. Yeah. Sure, yeah. There we go. Yes. The Pioneer Center, was established in 1979 and is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life of adults and seniors, especially those with disabilities. Our mission is to provide engaging recreational activities, essential nutritional programs, and social services that promote active, healthy, and independent living. Since 1979, the cities of Oregon City and West Linn have actually partnered to serve both communities through collaboration. Originally, this started very informally with another entity being involved. That was Loaves and Fishes, and the meals were cooked and delivered from the Pioneer Community Center to both communities. But over the years, those relationships have changed. We've had letters of understanding, we've had different collaborations and agreements, and most recently, as Director Big John mentioned, we have a formal intergovernmental agreement. If you've never visited the Pioneer Center, I encourage you to do so. We are located at 615 5th Street in Oregon City and just kind of kitty corner of the city library. As I mentioned, who we serve is seniors and people with disabilities residing in West Linn, as supported by our IGA, and also supported through our subrecipient agreement with Clackamas County Social Services. You'll notice here some great pictures because not only is this relationship contractual and formal, it goes deeper than that. This is great photos of both of our mayors from the cities of Oregon City and West Linn that actually participate in our annual campaign called Mayors for Meals as part of the National Meals on Wheels America March for Meals campaign. Most importantly, who we serve is the most vulnerable in your communication. For many of your clients and our clients, we provide the only meal or human contact that they will have each day. Our focus is to provide these vital services and programs to enrich the lives of those recipients. According to Census.gov and Meals on Wheels America, in Oregon, there are 154,873 seniors who are threatened by or are currently experiencing hunger and food insecurity. In the city of West Linn, there are 5,159 seniors, and 5.9% of West Linn residents have a disability. Oregon has over 100,000 seniors living below the poverty line, and West Linn has a poverty rate of 5.2% with a total of 1,423 individuals living in poverty. Seniors above age 85 are the fastest growing demographic still, and 1 in 6 seniors are victims of financial exploitation. This is why we take these vital services so seriously. The social services that we partner in with the City of West Linn are nutrition. Last year, the Pioneer Community Center provided 6,100 meals for West Linn residents on the Meals on Wheels program. And we also provided 253 meals through our congregate dining program. Those are individuals that we are transporting from the City of West Linn to Oregon City to have meal at our center. You guys have a wonderful congregate dining program at your center as well, but it does run just once a week and ours runs 5. The need for those meals becomes apparent as we have people request rides to the Pioneer Center on those other days per week. We provided 1,787 transportation units. Those are one-way rides for those age 60 and over, or for adults with disabilities that reside in West Linn. As part of our agreement with social service contract with the county, we actually have to provide case management, reassurance, and provide resources for those that are on the Meals on Wheels program. So we provided 56.5 hours of time, specifically covering personalized based care to clients on the Meals on Wheels program for West Linn residents. We provided 81 well-being and reassurance calls assisting vulnerable recipients in need. Those also often take a call to your local law enforcement to do formal welfare checks for the clients that reside here. And we provided 48 formal resource connections for seniors and disabilities living within your city. We do provide additional social services and recreational services that many of your constituents take part in. Those include energy assistance, legal aid, support groups, tax aid, estate planning, foot care. We do have a pantry program that residents of West Linn attend as well. We have Medicare information sessions, veteran benefit connections, long-term care education, evidence-based wellness classes, and then on the recreational side, you'll see a little bit of everything, a lot of fun things that just help the aging population age well in health and wellness. There are many additional health, education, and wellness programs that are offered seasonally or sporadically as well. And your residents, of course, are always invited to participate. How we are funded. The Pioneer Center is supported financially through the collective generosity of many organizations and individuals. Of course, the cities of Oregon City and West Linn have a big part in that. Again, we have a social service contract through Clackamas County that does give us reimbursement for some of our programs and services. We do receive a very small amount of funding through the Older Americans Act. We are members of Meals on Wheels America, and through their revenue sharing, we can often seek grants and revenue share awards. In addition to that, we do accept donations from participants. We have partnerships and we have private and corporate donors. We accept in-kind donations. We do reach out to local businesses and civic groups for their support as well. In addition to the Older Americans Act, which is a federal funding opportunity, we do have state Title 19 or Medicaid funding that sometimes supports the services that we provide. We partner with integrated health partners, and we do seek numerous grants. We also hold fundraising events and efforts year-round. An interesting statistic is that when this relationship formally started with payment exchange in 2008, the city of West Linn was providing the city of Oregon City $38,000 per year. And the current agreement in place, the IGA, in 2025, that amount has only increased by a few $1,000s to $41,000. And so I just want to mention that it is because of this collective efforts and the grant writing and the things that we are doing currently that those funds really haven't changed much at all. I think everybody is being incredibly good stewards of the finances so that we can truly help the individuals to the best of our abilities, and not have that be such a burden on our local constituents.
I would like to add that it is so great just to see how much they do when we have one FTE essentially that runs our adult community center. So the services that you provide to our community, we would not be able to do without that. So it's really a great synergy between the two cities.
And I wanted to mention the value of volunteers. I mentioned that we accept in-kind donations, and we cannot do so without pausing and thanking our volunteers. The Pioneer Community Center currently has 211 active and vetted volunteers. Last year, volunteers provided 9,378 hours of service at the center. We do have numerous volunteers that are West Linn residents, and so we thank them as well. This is a direct cost savings to truly both of us, and directly to the center for the nutrition program in the amount of $314,069. Volunteers currently fill the vital roles of Meals on Wheels drivers, reception assistants, nutrition support, event support, legal aid experts, activity leaders, transportation chaperones, guest speakers and presenters, and community garden workers. And that community garden does support our nutrition program as well. And that is everything I had for you. Before I end my presentation, I do just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve your community. It is a wonderful collaboration that I think we are all very proud of. It does really extend the dollars, as I mentioned numerous times. I think we're just incredibly good stewards for that. And I also want to thank your staff, both the director, Megan Big John is a delight to work with, and your team at the Adult Center that helps us provide these services very easily and smoothly, and it is an honor to work with them. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Any questions for me? Yes.
No questions. Well, maybe I do have a question. First of all, thanks for the wonderful presentation. And I was reflecting back in the pre-meeting about how I enjoyed going on that Meals on Wheels delivery to the West Linn residents. That was one of the most amazing things that I've done, and getting to interact with those residents at their homes was awesome. And so my question was, I was thinking it would be a really amazing team building experience if other city councilors could participate in that process maybe as a event at the community center, going out and riding along with folks to some of the West Linn residents' houses. I don't know if you could do it all at once or on rotations for different ones, but if councilors are interested, it really was wonderful experience, and I wanted to ask you about that. That's the only question that I had.
Yeah, no, that excites me to hear. I would love that, and I can work with you directly. We do have that Community Champions Week during March as the March for Meals campaign that we generally would reach out. It doesn't have to be that week. That's just when the formal invite would normally come, but you are always welcome. This is your community. It is your residents we're serving. We'd be honored to have you.
We will connect and coordinate about that. And I'm just grateful for the continued partnership on Meals on Wheels and all else that you do. I didn't realize that you had 5 meals during the week rather than one. So I'm glad our people can go over there and take advantage of that and everything else. Council President, please, and we'll go around.
Thank you,
other
Mayor.
Questions.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation on the partnership and the service you provide that's so important to both of our communities. I hear lots of great things from neighbors of mine who come over to the Pioneer Center on days that Westland Center doesn't offer. So it's a wonderful addition to all of the community for both of the communities. So thank you for doing that. And I would love to participate and volunteer. So that would be really fun. Thank you.
Anything else from other counselors? Okay, well, I think we have an intergovernmental agreement before us, and as with all contracts, I just wanted to check in. City Attorney, are you comfortable with us approving the contract? I'm assuming you are, but just wanted to.
Yes, I am. I reviewed the contract.
Okay.
Support.
Thank you for that. And I would entertain a motion then to approve.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Oregon City for services provided by the Pioneer Adult Community Center, including the revised budget and renewal options.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Oregon City for services provided by the Pioneer Adult Community Center, including the revised budget and renewal options. Any discussion? And I also want to thank you for being here from the City of Oregon City and staying with us for the meeting to this point. Sorry we made you wait there for a little bit. No comments, so we can call the roll.
Counselor Bonington,
Yes.
Counselor Bright,
Yes.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Counselor Groner,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. So the partnership continues. Thank you. So moving on then to the final item on the agenda of the business meeting is the Agenda Bill 8D, the Heritage Tree nomination for a wonderful tree in McLean Park.
Yes, and we'll just keep Megan Big John at the table to present this last of her items tonight.
You didn't bring the tree. Did you at least bring a picture?
Yes, you will see a picture, definitely. I'm quite excited to be here to be able to share this potential nomination with you. We did have some adjustments when we were doing our technical tree update for the Heritage Tree Program. And so I am really hoping with this designation in a park that it might create a synergy to be able to want to have other homeowners wanting to designate their trees. But because it's been a while since you received, I'm going to attempt to do this, but I think, Therese, I might need your help again. The Heritage Tree Program began in 1993 here to celebrate the deep connection that we have with nature, and obviously we're a tree city as well. It reflects the longstanding commitment to our urban forestry and living features that shape the character of Westland. I mean, we love our trees completely. To date, there are 10 trees that are designated, 1 currently in a park at Mary S. Young, and today we're talking about 1 at the McLean House. Thank you, sorry. This program is established and is through our municipal tree code under section 8.710. Heritage trees are designated by the City Council for their historical and community value. It supports a broader goal of protecting and maintaining and enhancing the city's tree canopy. Any individual nominee with tree with written consent must have written consent from the property owner. The final designation does rest with the city, and once designated, the tree becomes part of the property deed to ensure long-term protection. Heritage trees cannot be removed without a public hearing, and plaques must be installed with the identification for public education. So the evaluation process for a tree, there are several items that are listed within the code. This is actually very specific to what is listed in the code. And there are the categories of the size, the circumference of the tree, the location factor, the condition factor, and historical significance. The total points that would be added up are taking all of those criteria and multiplying them. And the highest point that you can receive is 750, but the tree must receive 180 to be considered. So the process that goes into a nomination is sent in to the city arborist. They go out and do the evaluation of the tree. Once that evaluation is created and a presentation is made to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board as our tree board. They're also doing the designation for city or for Tree City. Once they do the review, then it's obviously brought up to council, and then our goal is to be able to have a ceremony to designate that tree through Arbor Month in April. As we had mentioned, some of the trees that were previously designated prior to the code change, so the maintenance of those trees are still under the city's jurisdiction, but any trees moving forward would be managed by the property manager, but in this case, it would be us as well. So I guess we can get on to the actual real show. So the current tree that's being nominated sits in the middle of McLean Park. And it's a historical site as well. It is estimated to be 80 years. We're thinking it might be closer to 90 based on the historical reference that we have. And it's estimated to be over 100 feet tall. The crown spread, if you think of that, 57 feet is crazy big. And the average circumference is 27 feet. So when the arborists did do their evaluation, it came in at 450, which is well above the threshold. So here's the few pictures that Councilor Groner was asking about. PRAB did unanimously recommend this tree for designation on 11/13 last year. The tree is healthy, thriving, and has a pretty good formation of the form of the giant sequoia is supposed to have. The historical significance that was presented to us is that it was thought to be planted in 1940 by Dr. McLean's son, as there were several other trees that were planted around the same time. So we are here to see if you would like to nominate this as our new heritage tree to add to our list for the year. And we would do that celebration in April for Arbor Month.
Oh, wow.
I know, there might be cake.
That's great. Well, thank you for the presentation and your passion for trees.
Yes,
I appreciate
you.
it. As our arborist. Are you still the arborist, or we still have Mike Perkins?
I am a arborist, but we have a city arborist as well, and we've just hired on our contracted arborist
Cool.
to take over that role, and Mike Perkins is still an arborist for the Parks Department.
Cool. Wow, cool. Thank you. First of all, let's get the nomination before the council, then we can have discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the nomination of the giant sequoia at the McLean Park as a heritage tree in recognition of its historical, environmental, and community significance.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the nomination of the giant sequoia at the McLean Park as a heritage tree in recognition of its historical, environmental, and community significance. Okay, any discussion from the council about this wonderful tree?
I would just also thank Megan for her enthusiasm, and I think this is an excellent addition to our heritage tree collection.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Any other comments, or we can call the vote? I see no other comments. So Teresa, you call the roll for the final time tonight. Thank you for all your work.
Councilor Bright,
Yes.
Council President Baumgartner,
Yes.
Council Groner,
Yes.
Councilor Bonington,
Yes.
Mayor Bielostowski.
Yes. So the motion is passed, and we have approved the nomination. So now what happens? When does the plaque get made? Is that unveiled at the?
Tara is ready to go with
Okay.
making the plaque with the date of today. And I do want to give a great honor to our legal counsel who had
Yes.
reviewed our process as well as the application form, which was very key. So if somebody else were to want to apply, they knew what the requirements were. So what we'll be doing now is planning an event during the Arbor Month, probably the week, hopefully, where we'll be able to advertise and have a little celebration down there to dedicate the tree
That's
and the
awesome.
plaque. So we'll keep you informed.
When we were going over updating the process for the heritage trees, I thought I was going to have to go out and find one, but somebody found one. So we got one through. So thank you.
Thank
Glad
you
we
very
got
much.
another one. Okay. Well, concludes the business meeting and we can move on ahead of schedule to the city manager report. And one thing came to my mind when Megan was talking, she mentioned Parks Board, and we talked before the meeting about including the Parks Board in the conversation about the maintenance fee. And so I don't know with this timeline we proposed to meet talking next week, whether we could include them, but maybe we have to have a follow-up meeting with them before we take a vote. I just wanted to respect that.
Perfect. I think that's great. We can certainly notify them of the meeting and the opportunity to come and talk with you. I don't think they have another meeting before next Tuesday. But our thought is to get them involved. In fact, I was going to bring up the Parks Board. I'll start with that because we are working on some of the follow-up from other discussions you had last year, including for example, the topic of the Oppenlander property and of the property here on Parker Road, what is going to happen there. And Megan and I were just speaking today about involving the Parks and Rec Board on some of that advanced planning. How do we move forward on those properties to fulfill council's direction on that? So I think we're very excited to work with them over the course of the year. Obviously, a lot of parks issues coming up. And from my experience, they really appreciate being asked. They really appreciate the opportunity, just like all our advisory committees do, to participate in the process. So we'll make sure to do that right away. So thank you for the reminder. As always, I'll start off with your upcoming meetings. We've had a nice holiday break, but now it's back to work. The work session next week, the original agenda only had the discussion of West Lynn's marijuana prohibition on it. And so we will add in this discussion of the parks maintenance fee and our parks maintenance program. And we'll pull together as much as we can. I've already sent an email to the team with our list that you came up with this evening for the things that we need to be working to pull together. And I suspect Doug is back there contemplating it as we speak. Does he look contemplative? He looks, oh, no, you're good. So then following that, the next meeting is a work session on February 3rd. And it's my understanding, Mayor, that we are looking to move the work session times in February and March to evening, the first work session of the month. Is that right? Or did I misunderstand that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
If
So the
we
daytime
work for the
work
council.
sessions that would normally be at 1, is it council direction to set those for 6 p.m. on those Tuesdays?
The first one was moved because of there was 2 advisory board groups that we're having joint meetings with, and some of the members were working during the day. So that was
And then the March?
If people are comfortable with it. I talked to each counselor as a scheduling matter, which is exempt from public meeting law, and asked them that question, and they were comfortable with it.
Okay, so we will move those 2 work sessions to 6 p.m. We're also looking to schedule your annual priority setting meeting, which could include some robust discussion of the financial strategic plan. We had, in consultation with the mayor, come up with 2 Fridays in February, the 13th and the 27th. So I'd like to know if those dates can work. You don't necessarily have to have the answer to that right now. We can send out a doodle poll, but we're hoping those dates could work. Fridays work reasonably well for us.
The 13th or the 27th, is that what you said?
13th or the 27th.
And we usually have a goal setting retreat, but we've had a lot of retreats lately, so we thought we'd just consider it a financial planning / goal setting retreat that to accomplish that usual thing that we do at the beginning of the year.
Yep. So feel free to just drop me a line, or Kathy or Teresa a line, and we'll work to get that scheduled. Excuse me. On the work session on February 3rd, we have a discussion with the UAB, such as it is, of water rates. The staff has been working with our consultant to follow up on that long ago. Water master plan and how do our water rates look? We may have an initial discussion on that on February 3rd, but we have a little bit more team discussion to happen before we make sure we can meet that date. And then also that day, the Police Review and Recommend Committee will be here to present their annual report. As you remember, they are directed to provide information to you once a year hold 2 public meetings a year, but 1 annual report a year to council on what their activities have been and their observations of our program. So they were just meeting late last week to set up that report to you, and we are very pleased to work with them on that. Then February 10th is your business meeting, and there's only one thing I wanted to note, is that we have been talking to the SMART team at the city of Wilsonville about their transit program. I think this is very well timed in light of TriMet service reduction proposals. SMART is going to come in and talk about their new proposed service on I-205. Everyone has been seeing the bus lane markings there on 205, and I think it's my experience, pretty surprising when people find out that it's actually a SMART service, not a TriMet service proposed there. In fact, SMART is the only agency authorized to use those bus lanes on the freeways. TriMet is not authorized to use them because they do not have the correct training. So in light of the service cuts that TriMet has announced here in West Lynn, which are pretty draconian, I think this will be an awesome discussion with the city of Wilsonville. We appreciate their openness to coming up here. So we'll look forward to that. Just, let's see, 1 or 2 other calendar things. I'll be at the Willamette Neighborhood Association tomorrow night. I'm going to try to hit all the neighborhoods over time this year, at least once each, all the ones that are operative. If anyone wants to join me at WNA, it's at the Adult Center. One fun calendar note I had not known about until I looked at our calendar. I love this. This is the One West Lynn thing, Doug. Is, excuse me, our school resource officer, John Remington, will be at the library on a grading day where students are off answering questions about the police department and talking about the SRO program. There's an invitation for families that have kids in kindergarten through 5th grade about that. And so I think that's a super program. I really like that. I didn't know that was happening. One last thought is we have some awesome art again back in the council chamber. This is an artist we have had before. This is Marlena Stoddard-Hayes. You'll remember she was a West Lynn resident, sadly passed away. And we had a display of her art previously, thanks to her family. Her family agreed to let us exhibit some more of her art. And so obviously quite a loss to the community that Marlena is no longer with us, but we are benefiting from this lovely art. I love the scale of it in this room. Every month we have a different program. I think these work really well in here, and it's a lovely legacy to see. So I think those are the items that I have for you. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and welcome back, everybody. I look forward to meeting with you more often again. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, well then, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday.